Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Thomas and I discuss my near-death experience, the things I was shown, and the things I think you should know. So today I want to talk to you about how I am trying to emulate my angels and how they are able to stay so strong during times of extreme stress. I channeled a message from Sarah, so I think I will just share with you how it came out instead of trying to rewrite what she said. I think it is an important message as we face a pandemic and are adjusting to a new way of life. During my time with my angels, during my near-death experience, I was impressed with how my angels, particularly Sarah, behaved. She was constantly reminding me to keep my composure while I was afraid or dealing with painful emotions. I'll admit that I'm still learning to emulate her stoic nature, and I'm constantly reminding myself to keep my composure during difficult challenges. And you might be wondering what makes me an authority on how to stay strong. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about the challenges that I faced and continue to face on a daily basis. And I'm doing that to inspire you. And afterwards, I'm going to share with you what I've learned from my angels about how to stay strong. So again, I'm not sharing these challenges to make you feel bad, but rather to inspire you. If I can survive everything I've been through, you can survive your challenges too. I share the following to inspire you and encourage you to find your own inner strength. While you listen to everything I've been through, I ask that you reflect on the ways that angels, Jesus, and higher intelligence were working in my life. I honestly have no idea how I survived everything I did, except to say that my angels were definitely intervening on my behalf. Alright, so I was diagnosed with an extremely rare stem cell disease when I was 18 and dealt with serious health issues, pain, fear, and depression. I was constantly in the hospital and had to suffer through many painful bone marrow biopsies. I wasn't able to live a normal life. I'm still struggling to normalize my life. Then when I was 27, I was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia and had to go through chemo and full body radiation in preparation for a bone marrow transplant. At one point, the chemo brain, as it's called, was so severe that I actually forgot how to read. I remember one day looking at the newspaper sitting in the Stanford lobby, and all of a sudden it looked like hieroglyphs, and I couldn't even make sense of the letters. I had to live in the oncology ward for more than a year while they looked for a bone marrow donor for me. I was really too sick to go home or even leave the hospital. Then I had to go live in the bone marrow transplant unit at Stanford while I went through the transplant process. I couldn't leave, and my family was in Oregon, so I went through most of it completely alone. I almost died several times, actually. There were a couple of times I was in a coma, and once they thought they might run out of blood to give me, as I had a rare blood type and had exhausted the hospital's supply. Somehow I survived the transplant process. Then just a couple months after returning home, I ended up rejecting the transplant. And man, was that extremely painful, and it almost killed me. The treatment for the rejection was really worse than the disease itself. The steroids I had been taking for adrenal insufficiency, along with high doses of prednisone for the rejection, caused steroid psychosis, which is basically another way of saying it made me crazy. It went undiagnosed for more than a decade, and the steroids also caused blood clots in the ends of my bones, which meant the bones died and broke. The jagged, broken bones tore up my joints, and it meant that all my joints either need surgery or complete replacement. However, the process of having my hips replaced was so painful that I have decided not to have any other surgeries. So I live with broken bones and destroyed joints, and it's incredibly painful and a daily challenge to deal with. And my health has really stabilized somewhat, but I still deal with the chronic rejection of my transplant, and I have to take handfuls of medicine every day. The medicines make me sick, but I'm stuck taking them. So I deal with nausea, fatigue, and depression. And at one point, I had decided that I wasn't going to live in fear anymore, but knowing that the leukemia could return any day and that would be it for me is always in the back of my mind. Besides my health challenges, there are challenges brought about by my near-death experience. It's difficult to explain, but I had a whole life on the other side with Sarah, my angel. She made such a profound impact upon my psyche, and I realized that I had known her in previous lives. In fact, that's why she's my angel. And I felt such a connection to her, and the love I have for her is oftentimes overwhelming. And I miss her so much. I also wonder often why I chose to come back when I could have stayed with Sarah on the other side. It was so peaceful and beautiful during my near-death experience on the other side. I felt such a strong love coming from God that I miss it every day. The love was stronger than anything I've ever felt. It stayed with me for a few weeks after my NDE, but eventually it faded away, leaving me with a profound emptiness. So I'm left to struggle to unravel the mysteries of life and the universe. All that I was shown baffled me and created more questions than I had prior to my experience. However, I am so grateful to be able to say that I am one of the few living people that has met their angels and lived to talk about it. So let's get into the message from Sarah. I have broken it up and will share some of my own thoughts as well. So Sarah started the message by reminding me that when she met me, I had already been through so much. She used the analogy of pressure and time turning carbon or coal into a diamond. Before my NDE, she says, I relied mostly on my strength of character to get by, and she did very little to intervene on my behalf except to keep me alive and safe for myself. Since my near-death experience, my perspective has really changed, and I rely on my angels more and more. She says this is because now I know that there is assistance from God and His angels. People, Sarah says, should come to recognize that they have angels and various forms of higher intelligence working in their lives, and that by recognizing this, they will develop relationships with, or you will develop relationships with higher intelligence, be they God, angels, and this is kind of funny, she says even extraterrestrials. She says, yes, ETs are of assistance to humanity. So you can take it or leave it, that's just what she said. The following part is faithfully reproduced from the message Sarah gave me. This is what she wanted me to share with you. Strength comes from within, and you already have all that you need within. In fact, looking to outside resources to carry us through robs us of our power. When you are feeling discouraged, it is important to look within for the incredible strength that resides within us all. We become addicted to outside sources that just rob us of our strength. And she means outside sources of strength, be they substances, religion, whatever, meditation, whatever you use to get by. She says, if we quiet our mind and go within, we will find that we have all the strength we need. It is important to realize that our thoughts often discourage us. However, if we find the strength to change our minds to be positive, we can build upon that positivity and create for ourselves the life that we have always dreamed of. A life that the quiet voice in our mind's dialogue tells us that we are fully capable of. When we look to outside sources to get us through the rough bits, we further delay our progression along the spiritual journey that each of us has come here to experience. We must not look upon our difficulties with lament, but rather we should view them with gratitude because they are opportunities. Though they may be painful, our challenges make us stronger beings and bring us closer to the Lord and to God. We must also remember that we are not facing our challenges alone, as we come here with a team of spiritual helpers. We must also remember to express gratitude for the blessings in our lives. We all agree to the challenges that we will face during our time on earth before we come here. Some may face fewer challenges, while others may face more. It all depends on what we need to succeed in the next life, but it all washes out in the end. Remember that any challenge you overcome will be rewarded 1,000-fold, so it is important to maintain grace under pressure. Even a modicum of composure during stressful times will go a long way. Excuse me. So I am reminded of Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27, where Jesus sleeps through a giant storm only to be awakened by his disciples when they're afraid they're going to drown. He reminds them to have faith because God is always looking out for us. That is the same impressive composure that my angels had during my NDE. We should all strive to achieve a stoic nature during times of upheaval. This is not to say that we should detach ourselves from our emotions, but rather we should have faith and strive to gain the perspective of our angels of higher intelligence. Life is full of challenges, but what matters is how we meet those challenges. A daily spiritual practice is so important as it helps us to meet our challenges with grace and composure. It is important to take time to connect with yourself and with higher intelligence, as doing so will help us greet challenges as opportunities. So I want to say that if you're struggling, my heart goes out to you, and I do not say these things lightly because I know how difficult life can be. I have faced the worst that life can throw at me time and time again, and looking back, I wish I would have had more faith in God and that everything would be okay. Sometimes belief is difficult to have during times of great challenge, and we wonder why God would put us through such horrible circumstances, or we even doubt that God exists. I know I've been there. God and our angels are always watching, but often they don't intervene because they would prefer we find our own strength. They are in fact giving us a great gift by not intervening, as it allows us to go within to discover how powerful we really are. Attitude is everything. There were times where I begged God to just take my life because the pain was so great. It was when I realized that God wasn't going to take me that I knew I had to change my attitude and find a reason to live. God had other plans for me then, and now I am grateful for my health issues because they have made me such a strong person. And my near-death experience showed me that I signed up for cancer and for all the health challenges, as I would need the lessons that they taught me in the next life. So even when I had the opportunity to leave this earth during my near-death experience, I begged Jesus to send me back. And I believe that it has been my drive to accomplish what I came here to do that has seen me through. There are times where all I can do is pray, and during my worst times, when I was unable to pray, I told myself that I had to find some peace. When the light was fading and I knew that I was going to die just before my angel showed up, I couldn't think of a prayer, but I knew deep down that I had to make peace with what is. And I just want to say, I still struggle with wondering why I came back when it was so peaceful and when Sarah was on the other side, and I could have stayed there with her, but I have to remind myself how precious this life is. And sometimes all you can do is make room for peace. It is when I am struggling to hang on to life that I find the most clarity and all the clutter in my mind goes away. I used to doubt that there was an afterlife, but my time with my angels showed me that we are infinite beings. We have to consider what it means to be an infinite being and how our challenges benefit us in the long run. Suffering is a matter of perspective, and by keeping a positive mental outlook, we turn our suffering into a blessing that benefits many beings. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening. I hope that today's video has benefited you somehow. So please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your role in helping me to expand my channel. So much love and light. Namaste.